Hey, this is Brent with Lykins Motorsports. If you didn't catch our video yesterday, it was on how to install a Ford FE manifold, intake manifold. If you're getting ready to do that at your own shop, then hopefully this video will give you some pointers and tricks on how to get that done correctly. I'm starting a new video series of interviewing previous and past customers. Somebody said in one of the comments that they would like to see the results of some of these engines that I build in the cars, so I thought this would be the more logical step. Today is the first installment of that. We're going to interview Mr. Dennis Towle, and he currently has 3 of my engines. We're working on number 4, 390 FE, a 427 high riser FE, a 363 small block Ford, and we have a Camry FE in the works. So get you a cup of coffee, sit back and relax, and listen to Mr. Dennis talk about his projects. Okay. All right. So Dennis, tell us all the projects you got going on. So I know you have the wagon, and then you have your son's Mustang, and what else you got going on?
So right now, as you know, I've been working on the wagon for a number of years. So that seems to be a continual project. We've pretty much ironed out any issues we've had with that as far as the drivetrain and whatnot, and look forward to racing that this year. We also have that 93 notchback Mustang, which is kind of behind me, flanked to my left. I'm not sure if you can see it.
Yeah, a little bit.
But yeah, I can just.
There you go.
That's the car there. Yeah. So we did, my son and I did a complete, do-over of that car. It was originally a 4-cylinder car. We put it on a rotisserie, put subframe connectors in it, tubbed it, a bunch of other stuff that you do, to make it a competitive drag racing car. And, obviously, you built the small block, the 363 for it. We have that. I'm just waiting on some final brake parts for it now. We had to change over the brake system because it was prior to, the changeover that we made. It was a power brake car from a 4-cylinder, and that motor that you built doesn't make the greatest vacuum, or any vacuum with that cam in it. So, so we've changed the braking system. I'm just waiting for some brakes on that, and then lastly. We have that 64 fairlane, which I want to say I've been working on that for close to 8 years.
Wow.
And yeah, that was originally an Arizona car I bought out of Arizona. And if you recall, Brent, that 390 that I have in my wagon, that was originally supposed to go into that fairlane. Mm-hmm. And that's the motor we built for that fairlane. And it was, I want to say it was 2018, I think. On Easter weekend, my son and I decided to take the motor that was out of the wagon and put that 390 that you had built for the fairlane in it. So we thrashed on that I think we started it on a Thursday night, and we got it running and driving on a Sunday.
Man.
Which was, yeah. And it was, I remember specifically, it was Easter weekend. And I want to say the 2 weekends subsequent to that weekend, we swapped the motor, was the FE reunion. And that was the first FE reunion we had taken it to. We literally, I want to say maybe didn't even have 100 miles on it, that first FE reunion we showed up with. And, since then we've been just kind of flogging that wagon with that 390 in it, pretty much unmercifully, as you know.
Poor engine.
It's funny, but that poor engine. It's funny. People will tell you, oh, you're going to find your weakest link. Well, we found the weakest link, in the wagon. And a little bit of history on the wagon. I've owned that for 20 years. It was originally a 390 car. When I bought the car, It had 17,000 original miles on it.
Wow.
It had bias ply tires. Yeah, legit. It had bias ply tires on it, and it had a brand new bias ply spare. It had sat since 1980 in a garage. And subsequently, we took the motor out of it and put in the 390, and here we are speaking about that. So since then, when we put slicks on it, the first drag race down the FE reunion, it did pretty good. And then we put some slicks on it, and we found the limits of the clutch. I want to say we put 2 clutches in it until you actually suggested putting that twin disc in it.
Yeah.
And we put the twin disc in it, and then that's when we started breaking some drivetrain parts. I want to say the first victim of the drivetrain parts was the pinion. On a Ford 9-inch where the pinion goes into like a little pocket. There's a little pocket in there that has a bearing.
Yeah.
We had busted that down the FE reunion. We broke some axles. And what else did we break? Oh, a top loader became victim. We broke a top loader, the input shaft on that.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. I want to say that was the second year we started racing it. And, there's nothing nice about racing that car, as you know. It weighs 4640, and that's the exact rate. I've weighted on 2 different scales. I've weighted at the track we go to, and then I've weighted on scales that you set up a car on, and it's 4640. And originally we had 26-inch high slicks on it, and at the suggestion of Jim, I'm gonna probably butcher his last name, Warsawski.
Yeah.
He runs a Fairlane. He suggested that I try some taller slicks, and he let me borrow a set of 28-inch slicks, which really helped, getting the car moving, believe it or not. So now it's got the 28-inch slicks on it. And during the course of these couple of years, we've changed a bunch of things in the suspension, and I've also swapped the top loader over from a close ratio to a wide ratio, which I think helped with the gearing a little bit.
Oh yeah.
Out of fairness, I want to say the best time we've gotten out of it, really we haven't reached it yet, because at the tail end of last year, as you know, we developed the high-end skip.
Yeah.
So it would start missing at about 6,300, which for that car is really when it's kind of stretching its legs on the top end of the track.
Mm-hmm.
And it would start skipping pretty substantially, enough where a number of people could hear it and say, hey, you're breaking up on the top end. Long and short of that was the MSD box had gone bad, and we were headed to, I want to say, the all Ford race down at Beaver Springs, and it actually just literally quit on me. So we changed the MSD box, and I've never raced it. I haven't raced it since. So I'm looking forward to getting that thing back out. With the newer tires on it. We've updated the rear end with a different ratio. We put some bigger axles in it. Hopefully, it's more or less bulletproof as far as braking things go. And I hope with those improvements, and now I can wind the thing out where it's supposed to be shifted at.
Yeah.
Because I think I lost about 500 RPM.
Yeah.
Because I had the rev limit, I think, set for 6,900 or 6,800 with that 390. And it wouldn't even get close to that. And I know you and I have discussed it a bunch of times, but ultimately it was, it was the MSD box.
So let's go over that engine real quick. Let me see if I can remember some of the details about it. So it is a It's literally a 390. It's not stroked or anything like that. And
Right.
when we started this build, I think we had originally planned to use some like CNC ported Edelbrocks, but um, that's when the first trick flow heads came out, and you and I were talking, and we decided, hey, we're just going to try these new cylinder heads out. And the cam isn't really made for the trick flow heads, or more the cam's made more for the CNC ported Edelbrocks. But so we've got a 390 with trick flow heads, a performer RPM intake, and a hydraulic roller. And I can't remember the compression ratio. It's lower tens, right? Or mid tens?
10.3.
10.3.
10.3.
Yeah.
Yep.
So a pretty mild build as far as things go, but it made almost 540 horsepower. On the dyno, right?
Right.
So
Yep.
how many? So you've accrued both street miles and passes. Do you remember how many of each you have on the engine?
Yeah. And that's the beauty of that car because I do street drive it quite a bit. I want to say I got about 7 or 8 thousand street miles on it, and at last count, as far as passes, I know I had accounted, in excess of 150 time slips. So there's quite a few more probably that I haven't held on to or just got lost in the shuffle, but it's got some passes on it, Brent.
I was
And it,
expecting to get that engine back this winter.
yeah, no. So prior to this interview, I had just kind of in my head recalled like where we've been with the car and the motor, and I remember the first time I changed the spark plugs in it, and you're like, you haven't changed the spark plugs in that motor yet? And I was like, no, why? So for years I had run whatever plugs were still in it when you had built it. So I don't want to say I've neglected it. I've certainly maintained it with the oil changes and whatnot, but it hasn't been, it's not like I'm under the hood with the thing every weekend either. So,
Yeah,
which makes it fun. And
yeah.
and literally, Brent, if you saw that engine, it looks like the day you sold it to me. It's clean. There's no leaks on it. There's nothing. I usually store that thing on my lift, and it sits there in the winter, and I park a car underneath it, and it doesn't drip anything, which is certainly a testament to your craftsmanship. Because as far as engines go, I don't know that that's could be classified as having an easy life. That motor,
Yeah,
um,
I feel
it's
sorry for it.
it's yeah, and you were supposed to get it back twice, I think, right?
Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah, it
yeah,
I was hoping to get it back for a freshen up just to see what's going on with it, but you keep whooping
yeah,
on it.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Um, and it's the car itself. Obviously, it's not a drag car, but it's a handful to drag race.
Oh, I bet it
It's
is.
it's very it's very heavy, and I'm constantly fighting the forces against tire pressure and trying to get the thing to hook up because it'll hook good. I've been in the 1.6s with it on a 60 foot, but on the big end it kind of gets a little squirrely.
I bet it
So
does.
I try to find a happy medium with it with the tire pressure, and believe it or not, with that car and its weight, like 1 or 2 pounds can get you squirrely on the top end. So I kind of have to keep it more on the overinflated side, and you lose it on the 60 foot. But it'll go in a straight line. Um, if the tire's got enough pressure in it. Yeah,
So
So,
you were racing it with the complete front end dress on it, right?
oh yeah, that that wagon is entirely like it's in street trim, Brent. It's got drum brakes on the front. It's got the rear seats in the back. It's literally it's like it rolled out of the showroom of Ford, with the exception of I put some decent shocks on it, which I'm curious to see if that'll help us. We haven't really done much testing with them, and that's it. I haven't um, I did update if you call them the control arms in the rear.
Mm-hmm.
I put some bigger ones on that, some ones that had better bushings in it because obviously the stock ones were kind of sloppy.
Yeah.
So,
So does it still have the factory exhaust on it, or are you running cutouts, or how do you do it?
so I got it's a 2.25 with mufflers, and believe it or not, my best time I've run the car has been through the mufflers. Now,
Really?
I've had a number of guys tell me like, oh, you can run it. You're going to make more power without the mufflers. But my best time was through the mufflers, and that was a 1288, I think, with it. Um, which, and I really think it could be down in the lower end of the 12s if I could get the thing to hook and go straight and run properly. But I've yet to find all those conditions meet together in one event. So
Yeah.
yeah.
So
uh,
did you get the
yeah.
go ahead, I'm sorry.
I I just say that obviously it's not a race car, but it seems to be a favored car where we take it because you just don't see it, and it's an original paint car. It's all original interior. It's a neat car. It's got a roof rack, so it kind of draws attention to it no matter where you take it, which is kind of funny actually because and then I think at first glance people don't realize that maybe it'll pull some decent times, which that's a respectable time for that car, I think.
Yeah, and it'll
Um,
it'll pull the front
it
tires a good
seems to
bit.
be happy. Oh yeah, yeah. No, we've had both tires off the ground. I think I sent you some pictures of that. Um, it'll definitely on a good track, and that's how I've sent you also the picture. We lost an axle. We sheared the axle off uh, last year at Beaver Springs. So, which that to me that event, the FE reunion, that is like it's like my Super Bowl because it's such a good event and all the people down there are great, and uh, there's some great cars down there. And I want to say we went into the second round or the third round of eliminations with it, and that's when we lost the driver's side rear tire, which I had sent you the one of the photographers there actually got the shot of it with a hubcap and all the lug nuts were popping off the tire. And surprisingly enough, it didn't do any damage to the car
That's
other
good.
than the lug nuts.
That's
Yeah,
good.
yeah. So that's Brent. That's the last time I've run that car. I haven't run it since, and I look forward to like this year's FE reunion. I think they're really trying to talk it up and make it a big event and get a bunch of people there. So I'm hoping that we can get the thing ironed out for this year's FE reunion in September.
Yeah, I wish that you would have sent it back to me now.
I actually thought of that this morning. So, and I think there's more in that motor. We've got that intake on it that's like a dual plane, and I think, like you say, the cam was designed originally for that Edelbrock heads, which maybe you could work some magic with that if you got a different camshaft in it.
Yeah, I mean
So,
the thing certainly sounds good. I added if you watch some of the videos lately, I added like an intro screen to my videos and an outro, and the intro screen is just my logo with a an audio of a engine idling, and it's your 390 idling. So
Oh,
I
is
mean,
it?
it
Yeah,
sounds mean, yeah.
yeah,
So have
yeah.
you got the 363 going?
No, like I say, it's ready to go in this notch bot back. But I had to get all the front brake lines and the master cylinder. I wanted to get all of that installed before I actually put the motor in it.
Okay.
Um, so it's literally still in the crate. You sent it to me and I pop the cover off it and turn it over once a month, and it's ready to go. So
Okay.
I'm hoping for early April or to have that thing up and running.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah,
And
that should
your
be a fun car.
427 high riser motor too.
Yeah, yeah, that's destined for the fair lane, obviously. Um, and that the fair lane is in pretty much all primer and other than the rear end chuck in the axles, that's pretty much ready to go. I hope again this summer to try to plug away at some of that work and get that together as well. But we have too much fun with the wagon,
I bet that is fun.
So
I bet it really is.
yeah, yeah. So yeah, this reunion, the FE reunion, it seems like they're really making a push to make it a bigger event. So we're looking forward to that. My son and I to get down there. So
So what are you going to put the
should
camera
be
in?
fun. So the camera is going to go in the wagon,
Okay.
and I'm not so sure. I'm not so sure that we're going to keep pounding on that thing, especially if we have a camera in it. But it'll certainly see some drag strip time. But you know, I'm I'm really of the thought that maybe that would be a great cruiser with that motor in it. Still up in the air on whether or not if when the camera gets put in there, if it remains an automatic or remains a 4-speed or it gets changed over to an automatic. So
You wouldn't do that, would you?
I don't know.
Come on,
Definitely will
Dennis.
probably put a gear bend. Yeah, I know
You,
everybody shakes their head when they're like, "Oh, I put an automatic in it," and they're like, "Why? Why would you do that?"
you know they
So,
call them sissy sticks, right?
oh, I know, but it's interesting to run that car, especially with the stick, because it adds, as you know, a whole nother dynamic to that car. That would be a much quicker car with an automatic in it,
Yeah, it
just
probably
because I
would.
think you could launch it, you know.
Yeah,
But it doesn't have the fun factor. So
yeah.
uh,
What RPM do
especially
you
now
launch
it's
at?
so we've launched it from anywhere from 4,200 to 5,
Okay.
and anywhere in between. But it seems the happiest, at least with the old setup, and I haven't had any time on this new setup at all to try it, but it seems to be the happiest around 4. And again, you're fighting the forces of the car. It's too big and it's too heavy, and uh, if you can get the thing to hook, uh, it'll go. It'll come out of the hole fairly quick, but that's a whole nother issue that you have to contend with because of the weight of the car and the stick. The stick shift doesn't help. So
I can't imagine, lining up against the wagon in something else and then watching this big boat drive by.
yeah, I know. Yeah, well, that's why I say like people seem to enjoy it. Uh, it gets a lot of looks and a lot of smiles at least. One of the bigger events we take it to is up at Lebanon Valley Dragway, and they have that Muscle Palooza every year, and we run it in the 13.0 class. So the way we try to run that is I just keep it at a 13 flat. And one of the videos I sent you was from that event. I think I'm racing a early '70s Mustang, and I want to say we ran a 1291 on that pass that I sent you. I'm not sure if you got the video, Brent.
Yeah, yeah, I did.
Yeah, yeah. So
Yeah, I'll add
it's
all
fun.
those in there.
Yeah, yeah. You know, and it's neat. The interior is a nice, you know, it's original interior. It's got the third seats in it, which I would assume probably weigh a couple 100 pounds. So
Mm-hmm.
you could take those third seats out and probably drop a few tenths with it, but
Mm-hmm.
it's not what the car is. And for the longest time, I had a spare battery in the back of it under those seats, and I didn't realize it. You know, one day I was cleaning in the back. I'm like, wow, there's a spare battery back here. So,
Well, that's a
yeah.
neat old ride. Eventually, I'll make it up and get to meet you in person. And this is the first time I think I've seen your face. We've talked a million times and text messaged
Yeah,
and everything else,
yeah,
but
yeah.
it's good to see you in person.
Yeah, I watch your videos. I'm not a real tech guy, but I've seen a number of them, Brent, and you know, I know I appreciate them, and I've heard a lot of other guys I'm, you know, affiliated with, the FE guys. Jim, you know, he runs that Fairlane. I know he watches them as well. So, uh, yeah, I'd love to see you at the FE reunion.
Yeah,
I think that'd be a worthwhile trip for you, and you've definitely got some motors down there running. So
yeah.
it'd be good to meet up with the guys that are running the motors. So,
Eventually, I'll
uh,
make it up there. It's a pretty long haul for me. It's probably
oh
a
yeah,
a 12-hour trip one way for me.
yeah, yeah, yeah. I want to say for us, well, pulling the trailer, it's about 7. So,
Yeah.
but it's worth it. That's a great event. It's probably well, it's my favorite event anyway. And I know my son, it's up top with him too. So we try to make that every year. Although we didn't do it last year because of the rain. They had like some real bad weather forecast. So we stayed home. And as it turned out, I guess it turned out to be a nice day.
Yeah, that stinks. I'm working on getting my
Yeah.
private pilot's license, so maybe maybe one year I can just rent an airplane and fly up in several hours and skip all the driving.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
All right,
What would your
man.
thoughts be on that engine?
What's
So,
that?
what would your thoughts be on that engine to put a different intake on it?
Um, I think what would help it the most, Dennis, would be to get all the I think we've talked about it. Get the the fan and the electric change to an electric water pump and all that stuff. Um, those clutch fans and everything suck a lot of horsepower, and you probably get back 25, 30 horsepower or so if you just change to an electric setup up front. But probably a different cam, a different intake would pick it up considerably.
Yeah.
And I think we're getting ready to get booted. So yeah, we've just got a few minutes left. I don't.
Okay.
I'm too cheap to buy the good version of Zoom, so we're limited to 40 minutes. But I really appreciate you
Yeah.
doing this
I
for
don't
me,
blame you. So,
and it's
yeah.
been
And I've got more videos or more pictures too, Brent. So,
all right. Yeah,
okay.
I'll get all of those edited into this video, and so everybody can see it.
Okay, Brent. Thank you.
All right, man. You have a good one. All right, so that was the interview with Mr. Dennis. And Dennis, I want to thank you again for coming on the channel and doing that interview with me. Uh, to everyone else, I really appreciate Dennis. He's not only a good customer. Obviously, he's from a business standpoint, he's bought a lot of engines and parts from me. But um, on the flip side of that, he's just a really good, honest, hardworking, just a good guy to be around, and I appreciate him very much. We've had tons of conversations, text and voice, over pretty much everything that you can think of, and I consider him a good buddy of mine. So thanks again, Dennis, and thanks to everybody else for watching and being part of the channel. Hope you guys are having a good week, and stay tuned for more Ford videos. Take Take care, and I'll see you soon.